Hi, my name is Dawn Lechner. This is a video on Post-it response notes, which is a reading strategy for the course Content Area Reading. During this video, I will be showing you this strategy in use in a classroom setting. This is a very informal setting. I used to students that are at the high school and junior high level, and they are both related to me. So it was a very informal setting, but during this video you will see me model the strategy and teach the strategy, and then see the students using the strategy with me acting as a guide through the entire process. This is done with both a nonfiction and with a fiction text. Thank you.
I'm going into 8th grade this year. I'm 13 years old, and my favorite subject is language arts.
Very good. What about you?
I'm Grace Kewell, I'm 14 years old, and I'm going into 9th grade, and my favorite subject is math.
So the idea is that you think you're reading along, and what is the main idea? What is a piece of information I've never seen before? What is a word that I just cannot understand no matter how long I read it?
Words that you don't know, write it down.
Right, but not just that. If it's a word you don't know, if it's an idea that sounds interesting, if it's an idea that sounds like it might be important, if it sounds like it's the main idea, anything like that is something you're going to write down. So this says, most of the forests that once covered much of Europe were cut down long ago to make room for farms, cities, and towns. Now, does that sound like something you could have assumed beforehand? It's not new information? Okay, so you don't really need to write that down. Many animals lived in those forests, blah, blah, blah. Many animals were hunted by people until they became extinct. Now that's kind of a little bit more information maybe you weren't expecting in this paragraph. Some of the bigger animals survive today. Now as soon as I read this, I think, oh, what bigger animals? So I'm probably going to go to the pictures and take note of the bigger looking animals. And then I'm going to wonder, wait, are these animals pictured here the ones that we're going to talk about here? So if that question pops up, and I haven't got the answer for it yet, I'm going to write it down. I'm just going to say, what big animals? And then I'm going to take my Post-it, boop, and I'm going to put it down right next to the paragraph that caused me to ask that question. And then I'm going to move on. Yangtze is in the south. Well, I don't even know what Yangtze is. I have no idea. So I'm going to write that down, Yangtze, so that I can look it up later and stick it down right next to where it says Yangtze, and then I'm going to move on. Okay, let's go to the book of Ruth. Did it help you while you were reading, or was it distracting while you were reading?
I didn't read all of it, I just like went through it.
That's okay, neither you did, that's okay.
I think it was kind of the same because I do that in my head. Like I keep the questions in my head, and then later if I find the answers, then I just kind of answer the question in my head, and I remember what question I did. So it's kind of the same thing.
Okay, what about you, Grace? Was it distracting, or do you think it helped you focus more?
Focus better.
It did help you? Okay. So if we were a big old class of lots of students, I'd divide you into different groups, and then you would all take your little Post-its, and you would get together and you would discuss the things that you wrote down on your Post-its. So we're going to start with Grace, and I'm just going to sit here and listen, and Grace, you tell us what you wrote on your Post-it, and then if you have something to add to what she wrote, like that.
I said, Almighty has brought misfortune upon me.
Okay, why did you write that?
I didn't exactly know what that means.
Well, it means that that the Lord had brought misfortune on her, which means that he had her husband and her 2 sons killed, and that's bad. And the Lord made that happen, and it's bad.
Yeah. So I think the word we're looking at is misfortune. That's the word you wrote down. And what did you say misfortune means?
It's like something bad that happens.
All right, good. So you use Post-its to write down a word you didn't understand, and then you shared it in your group, and your group was able to tell you what the word meant. Very good. All right, what about you?
Well, in the first part of it, I just wrote a question because it said that her husband and her 2 sons both died.
Oh yeah.
And that was within a span of like 10 years. And I wondered why. And I wondered if it was maybe the famine, but usually famines don't last that long. Plus they moved away from the famine.
He might have got sick.
That's a very good point. Okay, so we're going to go to chapter 5. page 37. Get your Post-its ready. We're gonna do the same thing.
So close this thing up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the other thing that you would end up doing with this is, after you were done with the discussion, you would write the page numbers on each Post-it, and then stick the Post-its on something else, like a notebook or line paper or something like that, so that the next time we come back to that, if we want to discuss something that happened during that reading, all you gotta do is look at that piece of notebook paper.
Okay.
Okay? And I can tell you, on a collegiate level, you need to know exactly the page number if you're gonna quote something. So it's handy to write it down when you come up with a quote instead of having to search for it.
Hey, there's my name.
Hey, look. All right. We're going to start with chapter 5. I'm going to have you read through, and you got it, Grace? Don't
Yeah, I
read
know.
ahead.
I'm not. I'm seeing if there's any more of Grace.
All right. Okay. So this time, don't forget, you want to put the Post-it right next to the thing that you have a question about.
Okay,
It's
okay.
a word you don't know, quote you like. Okay. Right. So we're going to start with Chrissy.
All I wanted to know was what she wanted to be for job day. Because it didn't
Okay.
tell us in the whole chapter. And she was so excited about it, but it didn't tell us.
So do you think it might have said earlier in the story?
No.
You think it's
Because
something
she
that you
just
find out?
found out.
Just found out.
Yeah, she busted her head through her dad's newspaper.
She probably found a job in the newspaper that she wanted to do.
No. her
While
dad
she was
reading.
busting her head through? That's impressive. Okay, so why do you want to know that? Do you think it's important?
Yes.
Okay.
Apparently there's a job day in school. And she has to think of what she wants to be for job day.
And then turn on page 38. Why she is wearing one sock.
So it doesn't say in the chapter why she's wearing one sock?
It's such a
No,
little lot.
she's wearing one sock, but I don't know why she's not wearing the other sock.
Yeah, because she's having a lot of trouble with her baby.
She's say it again?
She's having a lot of trouble with her baby.
Junie B has a baby?
No, her mother.
So who's only wearing one sock?
The mother.
Okay. Alright, so Grace wanted to know why the mother was only wearing one sock, and it's because of some baby?
Yeah, because the baby, because she couldn't find the pacifier, the baby was all out of control. Ollie.
Boy, that's funny.
Ollie. So her sister snuck up with a flashlight and shined it in the baby.
In his mouth.
That's not nice. Alright, so the main idea of the Post-its is that you're paying a little bit closer attention to what you're reading, and you're writing down when it happens what questions you have. Okay? And that will make things like a reading group more successful, because, I mean, you two learn from each other, you both gained insight from each other, and if you have a bigger group, there's even more chance you're going to gain insight. And if there's a question that nobody can answer, then you want to remember it so the teacher can answer it. And really, frankly, and you're going to figure this out because you're in high school, my goodness, there is not a lot of time anymore. I mean, you have 38-minute classes at best, and you got to get everything done then, and everything else is homework. It's not going to be a lot of fun. But the more you use these Post-its, and I'm going to let you guys keep these, the more you use these Post-its when you're reading, the better chance you're going to get your questions answered, and you're not going to be wasting anybody's time. Okay?